Welcome to Cinema Savants, your home for all your movie and TV news, with Todd Vandenberg, Lee Vowell, and Rob Steele.
And coming up in this week's show, we've got stuff. No, I didn't write an intro for it because we've got stuff. We don't have Lee, so I don't have to introduce him anymore. Todd's here because Todd likes to show up. Lee's hiking with white people or something. Did you understand that text? I didn't understand the text.
I totally understood the text.
Okay, well, that's Lee. He's not here. So we'll move on to Aquaman, because they are very similar in that they're both bipeds. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Worst segue of the show, got it out of the way. Ta-da! They announced this week that the live-action movie version of Aquaman will be opening in China on December 7th, followed by Australia, Russia, Singapore, and Denmark getting it on the 13th, the UK on the 14th, and then the States on the 21st. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if this movie doesn't perform well in theaters in the States, they're going to blame piracy. Because it's been out for so long that it could be pirated so easily. I think this is them setting it up. So that's they're not expecting it to do well in theaters. And then they can blame the piracy rather than the crappiness of the movie they've just made. Is that a good theory? I think it's a good theory.
I was going to say I have to agree with you, but I don't have to agree with you because I frequently agree with you, and I like agreeing with you. But I do agree with you. I didn't think about it until you mentioned about the possibility of them setting it up. Because otherwise, why would you do something so stupid when you're basically inviting piracy?
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is, and there's no reason to do it unless you're going to benefit from it somehow, and the only way you benefit from it is by having some happy little some scapegoat. That's the word I was trying to think of. Not a blame sheep, a scapegoat.
That's the villain of the movie. It's not Black Bantha or what was it? Ocean Master, I think, is this one.
Ocean Master, yeah. Which is, God, what a great name. But anyway,
created in the 40s. He's allowed to have a crappy name.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's exactly what they're doing. They're deciding it's like, okay, this thing is going to relatively tank. Tank, get it?
It's a pun.
It's a pun. We're so bright. But and by relatively, I mean, maybe it will only make $300 million or something like that. Which, yeah, exactly. But that way they'll have the excuse of, well, people, just like you said, people were able to watch it online. They downloaded it before they got to the theater. And whose fault would that be? So either they're so cynical and jaded that they're helping tank the box office because they are, or they're so incompetent, unbelievably incompetent and stupid that they're helping to tank their box office and don't even realize it. Either way,
it's a Warner Brothers DC movie.
Yeah, that's not a
possibility.
That is not a good look for this studio. I mean, at this point, I would fight tooth and nail if I was a producer to go anywhere except Warner's, because can you possibly be happy about this announcement if you've invested in this money in this movie and you're not Warner's? Because they're taking, I don't know, what do we think? $100 million?
Probably.
Off the American box office by doing this?
Or more.
Or more. Unbelievably stupid. But like you said, hey, it's Warner's.
Well, so they can also sue, who's it, Conan O'Brien for making fun of Aquaman all these years.
They can try.
When actually they needed to be poking fun at the Submariner.
Yes.
Because Aquaman makes sense. Submariner doesn't. I'm just saying.
Just because he can fly with his little wings on his ankles?
Little wings on his ankle. Who the hell thought that was a good idea even back... Oh, wait. Created in the 40s.
Created in the 40s.
Yeah. In the 60s, there were too many drugs. No.
But he's a cooler character, though, other than the wings.
Yeah,
that's one.
So.
Eventually, obviously, they're going to bring Submariner to the movies someday. But that's the big question. Will he have the little wings?
He kind of has to.
He kind of has to. And that'll be why.
There'll be tattoos like the little wings that are on the side of Captain America's helmet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was wondering, is if he'll have actual wings or they'll just be, something like that. Because wings.
Yeah.
Little odd little wings. Personally, I want to see Submariner in the movies. That would be fun because he's a very interesting character.
I would have loved to have seen Timothy Dalton play him about 30 years ago.
That would be very cool.
See, I thought that would have worked.
That would have worked.
Unlike the live-action version of The Incredibles, which is not going to work, thankfully. Brad Bird sat down with, I think it was Cinema Blend this week, and talking about all the live-action Disney movies that are coming out. And someone said, "Oh, how about a live-action version of The Incredibles?" And he said, "I don't think that's necessary." Which I agree with entirely.
Good for Brad Bird.
Well, let me find his quote here. Let's see. "You could absolutely tell that story in live action, but I feel like we're re-chewing the same food too much. I want something new, and this is not a time where the world is friendly to that. It wants sure things. And so you're constantly being served the same meals, but this one has a sprig of parsley on it." And it's like, no. And he's nailed that.
Absolutely. I like Brad Bird a lot.
I
like his work. And I like the fact that, in the first place, I think you're wrong, Mr. Bird. I mean, I totally respect you, but I don't really see how you can create a live version of The Incredibles and really deliver that experience. I don't know, not a lot of really stretchy women running around, for one thing. But that aside the point, the bigger point, of course, is like he says, let's not chew the same thing twice.
Right. Apparently
he went to the Don Knotts School of Philosophy, not chewing his cabbage twice. But he's absolutely right. And that's not overlooking the fact that they made the sequel to The Incredibles, because it's a very different story. So he didn't really go over the same territory. It just moved the story on.
Which comes out on downloadable video Tuesday, by the way.
Woo! Beautiful.
Yes.
Which somehow I missed that, because otherwise I would have already ordered it. But anyway, yeah.
DVD November 6th.
Good for you, Mr. Bird, for taking a stand on not rehashing the same thing over and over. And although a live experience is very different from a film, so in a way, it's like, I can see, but I just don't see how they could pull it off and have it still be the story.
Well, speaking of pulling that off as a live action thing, oh dear, Tim Story, who I'm told is a director, I'm just saying, I'm not sure I've liked anything he's done, but my own personal opinion. I move on to another film of his that I'm not going to like. I'll tell you this up front. It's a live-action version of Tom and Jerry. The cat and the mouse from... God, I think they started those in the 40s.
Yep.
With Aquaman and the Submariner. No. Anyway,
they were buddies. It was a road trip movie.
It's a live-action hybrid thing because no one's going to be wearing a Tom and a Jerry suit, thankfully. But they're going to shoot it next year, hopefully with a large caliber weapon, so we'll never have to see it. Because the first thing that was mentioned when they did this was, so far, no voice cast has been set. And my thought is, good, they aren't supposed to speak anyway.
Yeah.
I actually have every Tom and Jerry cartoon because I like Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry is awesome.
I have watched all of them. They speak maybe twice, and one of them is a parody that Tom does at the end of it, the "Don't You Believe It" thing, and I can't remember what that's originally from. That doesn't really count as him speaking, in my mind.
Off the top of your head, what is your favorite Tom and Jerry cartoon? Not the title, because no one knows the title, but what happens with it?
Well, Tom chases Jerry. Boy, does that narrow it down.
Yes, that does narrow it down. I've never seen that happen before.
Actually, I think my favorite one might be, it's one of the later ones, where they do a parody of the Bond Man from U.N.C.L.E. stuff. And really? I want to say it's called The Mouse from Hunger, with Hunger being an acronym.
While you think of that, I have two that pop up for me when they're both older. One is when it's the Jekyll and Hyde thing where Jerry gets the formula and turns into this like big brutal mouse and beats the hell out of Tom. And a big brutal mouse. He's like rat-sized, except he's very muscular.
Yes,
like a cartoon wrestler. I love that one. And the other one is the little pup, but it's Spike the dog. When Spike has his puppy. Oh my god, that one's awesome. But anyway, yeah, Tom and Jerry is
actually
excellent.
No, when Jerry finds and hides the elephant that escaped from the circus and paints him up as a mouse.
As a mouse. That's excellent.
See, there's a bunch of good stuff.
There's tons.
Honestly,
there's tons.
Just re-release this. Don't make a live version.
Yeah, I can see it's possible. It's possible that a live version could work because it made me think of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is...
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Which is amazing. However, how many movies are there like Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Not a lot, and there's a reason, because it's really difficult to pull off. And I'm sure there are other examples of mixes of animation and live action that people will think of and say, hey, you guys are stupid, what about this? But the point is that it's a very difficult thing to pull off. And especially when you have two characters that don't speak, and they really shouldn't, because that's part of
their charm.
Exactly, because these stories are told with no dialogue, other than the mom whose face you never see. Oh, Tom, get out of the kitchen! Ha! Yeah, that kind of stuff. Which I also love the fact they never showed her face. But anyway,
then there was, and I didn't know this character had a name, but I'm going to bring it up and tell a short story about it. I have a computer in my living room that I use as a media center.
Yay.
And when I originally set it up, I put all the Tom and Jerry shows on it. I've got, Star Trek and Babylon 5 and CSI and all this stuff that I put on there. And when I set it up, it goes to the net and finds all the information for the shows and fills it in on the shows, which is very cool. It's a program called Cody. It's free. Yes, I own the discs. Bite me. Anyway, I'm just throwing that out just in
for people who think, Cody, he'll be getting Aquaman. Yeah, right.
I used it legally. Thank you very much. Anyway, when I did it, I apparently overloaded the system, and the cast lists came through absolutely garbled. So I found out that because I was watching I think it was a Babylon 5 episode. And I said, I can't remember that actor's name, so I got into the system, looked it up, and apparently on Babylon 5 stars Bruce Boxleitner, which I as Captain John Sheridan. I get that. He's supposed to be there. And Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen. I'm sorry, wait, what? And there was this old actress that I couldn't figure out what show this could have possibly come from. And I've forgotten the actress's name, but the character she played was Mammy Two Shoes.
Oh.
And that's the name of the I guess she was I don't know what she really was. And she was the old Tom and Jerry character. Mm-hmm. Thomas, you in the fridge again? Mm-hmm. Her. Because all you saw were her shoes.
Yep.
That was the character's name, was Mammy Two Shoes. I never knew that. And it was all because Cody, glitched the hell out of itself. Because I'm pretty sure that character is not on Babylon 5.
And probably not going to be in the live action version of Tom and Jerry. Let's hope.
Played by Medea. I'm just saying. It could Anyway, speaking of other things that should not happen, we have been bringing up the rock and roll biopics that they've done or are doing, because Bohemian Rhapsody, the one about Queen, is coming out, which looks excellent.
It does.
Rocket Man for Elton John looks kind of questionable in my mind, but it's coming out anyway. And a couple weeks ago, I said, what could we possibly have for another one? Because I know there's going to be another one. Monumental Studios announced this week that they're going to be doing a rock and roll biopic of Amy Winehouse. Now, my question is, was she that big and I just missed it? Because I know her for that, the Rehab song, which wasn't that good in my mind. To me, she looked like an anemic Peg Bundy.
The physical description is accurate. I think her story is big enough to do a movie about it, because of.
I do not know her story. I'm thinking there's so many other people that could be done.
She just fits into the category which we thankfully have not had so many of in the past few decades. But for a while there, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix,
Kurt Cobain.
But, fits in with that category. Not that she was as big as Cobain, but Cobain became much bigger after his death. The same with...
Which is weird.
All of the others. And same thing with Amy Winehouse. I liked her voice. It wasn't like, oh man, what amazing. But she was an excellent singer, and to me, it's a compelling story. So I can see making a film of it. I mean, I think there were 2 documentaries out about her, and I've seen one of them, and it is very interesting. And you do get a look at, because the popular image, I guess, of her is like, oh, she's an addict, she screwed up her life, is like, oh, well. And people become addicted because typically there's something going on wrong. So it's more about the pressures of her life and things like that. The documentaries were. So I can see that this could be a very interesting film. Be interesting to see if they have someone sing, which is the current thing, or if they're just going to use the tracks of her singing, which would make more sense because she had a very distinctive voice. But anyway, yeah, I would watch it. I would be much more interested actually in watching an Amy Winehouse film than an Elton John film. And I like Elton John as a performer much more than I like Amy Winehouse. But to me, there's not that much compelling about Elton John. And like you said a couple of weeks ago, and we all said last week, I can see this being a really interesting movie 20 years from now, the Elton John one.
Right.
But why are we doing it now? Just because, this is the thing. It's the movie.
Because in 20 years, Taranton Edgerton will be too old.
And who cares? Because someone else will be there. And actually, he won't be too old. I mean, in 40 years, he won't be too old. He can just play him at that age. That's kind of the whole point of, it's not that interesting yet because we don't know what the end of the story is going to be for Elton John. Who knows what he'll do?
Movie?
There are a lot of stories that they can come out with. And like I said, I like Elton John as a performer, but I don't particularly care to watch the movie about Elton John because the story is still going on. It's just kind of an odd thing to do to me. Amy Winehouse, I would go see it.
Okay.
Unless Tim Story is directing it.
Good point. And voiced by Tom and Jerry. That's who's singing. Mammy Two Shoes as Amy Winehouse.
That would be a large mistake.
Yes, it would. Probably was for me even bringing it up. Therefore, we will move on to John Carpenter, who is kind of teasing the idea of making a sequel to They Live, which was the 1988 film starring Rowdy Roddy Piper as a guy who finds some sunglasses, and oh look, there's aliens if you look through these sunglasses.
It's an awesome movie.
It is. It sounds horrible, but it's actually an awful lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and it makes a very serious statement about politics and economy and society.
Well, that's why he brought it up as a sequel now, because for some reason the economics of the 80s are very similar to what we've got going now with this orange-skinned guy that's in an office somewhere. Mm-hmm. Just saying, and that may not be the only thing from that era. Well, I guess this is what I'm about to bring up is before that era. Fox, who is about to be bought by Disney again, and I'm sorry, Fox is making something for Disney. It's almost kind of like Sylvania beats Sony again. From those same people from our era know what that means. They're talking about remaking the 1976 TV series Alice, which originally starred Linda Lavin and based on the 74 Martin Scorsese film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, starring Ellen Burstyn. I can't see this working today. For some reason, I'm not sure. See that working?
No, I'm not really. I'm not sure why. Other than, here's a property that's available and it's cheap. That's the only thing I can think of that they're going to go for it. I'm not really sure where they're. Although maybe it would be closer to the film instead of the TV series. And if it's closer to the film, I can see that.
I'm slightly worried about the character of Flo.
Right.
That the two things I was thinking: one, what is going to be the replacement of her phrase "kiss my grits"? Because that was controversial at the time. Because we all know what she wanted to say, but didn't, because she wasn't allowed because of network rules and stuff.
Well, now she'll just say what she wanted to say,
which is a possibility. I'm not sure that it would work, though.
Yeah, I don't see the point of doing that, because part of the humor, such as it was that everyone knew what she meant, but she couldn't say it, so that made it kind of funny. And if you just say it, it's like, yeah, okay.
That's why I beep the Fwat show, because I think that type of censorship is kind of funny.
Right.
But the other thing and this is really what worries me, is that the show will be sponsored by Progressive, and it's actually going to be Flo from Progressive in that role.
Should be awesome.
Well, Alice, if you had bundled your home and auto insurance, then we wouldn't have to kiss these grits.
It would totally work as a web series, like 10-minute shows with Flo from Progressive. That would be awesome. I would watch it. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like I said, it would make more sense to me if they base it and they go with a film and and they turn it into a drama, or at least a dramedy, as opposed to just a straight up comedy. So,
yeah, very, very strange. Similar to, no, not even remotely close to, our next story, which is about the Fast and the Furious, which has very little to do with. Well, if they had bundled the car insurance with the diner insurance,
there you go.
Then Fast and Furious. See, there we go. Because someone ate the grits. Anyway, Neil Moritz, who served as the franchise producer for Fast and Furious, is suing Universal Pictures over the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, saying that they breached an oral contract, that he was supposed to produce this too, and he wants tens of millions of dollars in damages and lost compensation. Dude, no. There was nothing in writing. No. You've got enough money. Shut up.
Yeah.
Methinks.
It's just
it's
deals,
Fast
man.
and the Furious. It's the slow and the pissy. You didn't get in quick enough, and now I wanted my money. Wah.
He should go work for Warner Brothers.
He should.
They need bright boys like him.
Mm-hmm. Or he could work for Netflix, because we're this far along in the show.
Yeah.
We haven't brought it up yet.
Yeah.
But there is good Netflix news. I didn't know this until you brought it up in pre-pro. I get to say that word this week. Ha I've been wanting to say that word for the 3 years we've been on, and I've never gotten to. Anyway, I feel so vindicated. Netflix.
Fulfilled.
Yeah, it's.
Anyway,
Netflix. Lost my train of thought.
I knew you did.
How happy I am.
British humor.
British, it is. Netflix got Monty Python. Lost a few other things that we'll get to in a minute, but they got Monty Python a lot. You mentioned something about documentaries that you hadn't seen before.
Yes, they have
stuff.
Several documentaries on Netflix about Monty Python, which I'd never heard of. Several of these, and I've seen parts of 2 of them, and they're both very interesting and entertaining. Let me pull up. Well, just look up Monty Python. Here we go. Monty Python, Almost the Truth, 1 season. Okay, this is another one.
That sounds like
this is another one.
The future biopic of Donald Trump.
This is a new one that I hadn't even noticed when we were talking before the show. I won't use the term because
pre-pro.
Yes,
I said it twice in the show.
Monty Python's personal best, yes. Monty Python's best bits, mostly, yes. Which Monty Python's best bits is comics talking about their favorite parts of Monty Python. And it's very interesting for the comics and how they particularly, or comedians, not comics like Batman. I mean, come on. Anyway, it's very interesting to see how they choose their own personal sketch that they liked. And then there is Monty Python's personal best, which is the Pythons talking about episodes that they particularly cared for. And it's really interesting to get the insight of what they liked, what they didn't like. Not so much what they didn't like, because they don't talk about that, except for Cleese, because he pretends not to like anybody at times. And Monty Python, Almost the Truth. That's, again, another documentary about the Pythons. So there are at least 3 documentaries about the Monty Python show. But best of all, they have the show Monty Python's Flying Circus, which is beautiful. They also have The Life of Brian. That's the only one that I have found, only of their films that I found that they actually have, which is interesting, because you'd think if they made a deal to basically buy Monty Python, they would have it. But it doesn't look like they do, because it doesn't come up anything other than their film Life of Brian. However, if you search for Monty Python in Netflix, you will also find the beauty of... they do have Live at the Hollywood Bowl. That's excellent.
Yes, it is.
And, oh my God. Okay, they have many, many, many. Here's the rundown. In addition to the TV show and Life of Brian, they have the Best Bits mostly. They have Personal Best. They have Absolutely Anything, which is a kind of a follow-up that I think Terry Jones was involved with this. It's Simon Pegg, but I think Terry Jones was involved. But then they also have Monty Python, Almost the Truth, The Lawyer's Cut, the very best of Monty Python's Flying Circus, Parrot Sketch not included, Monty Python Live at the Hollywood Bowl, Monty Python Before the Flying Circus, a black and white documentary, which I did see, which is very interesting. It's 55 minutes long, and it's definitely worth watching. Monty Python, The Meaning of Live. Not life, but the meaning of live. Monty Python's Fliegender Circus, because they did do some episodes in German, and that's that. Monty Python Live, mostly 1 down, 5 to go. One of their live shows they filmed after the death of Graham Chapman. Spoiler alert, sorry. Monty Python Conquers America. Monty Python Live at Aspen. And they also have Fawlty Towers, which if you haven't heard of Fawlty Towers and you like Mr. John Cleese, you definitely have to watch Fawlty Towers. It's absolutely hilarious. Anyway, so tons of Monty Python on Netflix. Thank you, Netflix, for giving back to your customers, because you sure as hell took some things away from us.
Took some weird stuff away.
Yes, yes, they did.
Lucha Underground is no longer on Netflix. It's just anyway. That was just a weird thing, and it was brought up as an aside to the main story being they dropped Marvel's second series, Luke Cage.
Very
I guess
good.
the second Marvel series. The second one was Jessica Jones.
Right.
And there's no word on that yet. Honestly, I'm expecting Jessica Jones to be dropped soon.
Well, well, we all knew eventually they would drop them, and Jessica Jones has wrapped the 3rd season filming, and Daredevil is about to come out.
Nope, came out this Friday.
It did come out. I knew.
Yeah. I know, that was bugging me all Friday, going, something's missing. What am I missing? Then Saturday, click, you forgot Daredevil. Oh, yeah. Right.
I thought it was coming up, and I didn't see it in my feed for some reason. Thanks, Netflix, for not giving it to in my feed, because I would have watched it.
Well, it was crammed with Monty Python.
Yeah, that's actually partly what happened. Anyway, yeah, the cancellation of Iron Fist, which we talked about before, not that big of a surprise because it wasn't that very popular, even though the second season, we all agreed, and pretty much everyone agrees, was better, right? But still, it wasn't up to the level of the other shows, like Luke Cage, for example. So I think it's just a matter of, and I think it has zero to do with whether they're getting views or not. I think it has everything to do that Disney is launching their own streaming service, and they're going to have their own Marvel shows. So this doesn't necessarily mean the end of these characters on the small screen.
No, we're going to see them again.
Yeah. Now, what happens? God, I hope they recast Danny Rand. Please do not under any circumstances, please do not recast Luke Cage. Mike Coulter's excellent.
Well, the first thing that I saw as soon as they announced that Iron Fist was leaving is that they were going to be doing a Heroes for Hire series, which is Iron Man and Power Fist? No. Iron Fist and Power Man, which is Luke Cage's name in the comics back in the 70s.
Which would be great.
And as soon as they announced, oh, we're getting rid of Luke Cage too, everyone went, oh, that's where they're going with it, and it'll be on the Disney streaming service.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
No, not in the least. And like I said, I hope please recast Danny Rand if they do that. And nothing against Mr. Penn, but it's not a good fit, I don't think. Anyway, so yeah, it is pretty surprising still. I mean, the writing has been on the wall ever since Disney said, oh, we're going to do our own streaming service. So yeah, but still, for them just to say, oh, we're canceling Luke Cage, got a bit of a surprise. But as you said, it's not just Marvel properties that they're canceling.
They got rid of Lucha Underground. Anyway, now the other Marvel news, and I think Marvel took a page out of DC's handbook for this one. Oh dear. Marvel announced this week some news on the third Guardians of the Galaxy film, including that Kevin Feige is looking to get a female filmmaker to direct the third film. And bear with the way I phrase this, let me finish it first. I don't care if they get a woman to direct it. I don't care if they get a man to direct it, a eunuch, a hermaphrodite. I don't care. I just want someone who is good. I don't care what their gender is. I don't care what their skin color is. Get someone good to direct it. Is that a hard concept? Am I going to be attacked by the Me Too movement?
No, but I can see where they want to push that.
If you want to have a female director, go right ahead. Just make it a good one.
True, but I'm pretty sure they would do that, as opposed to getting someone who doesn't fit.
As opposed to the person who wrote this press release, who put some things in a little bit of an odd order. They said the working title for the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is Hot Christmas. Don't know why. And it won't begin filming until February 2021.
Well,
now I thought that was interesting. We got to, push that out a bit.
They're pushing that out quite a bit.
Christmas is not in February, but I digress. They later in the announcement said that the original release date will have to be changed because it was originally July 31st, 2020. I thought if they're not going to start filming until February of the next year, that's going to be damn clever of them to get it out on July 31st, 2020.
Maybe they'll use the time stone. It makes me. To me, it makes sense because when the original filming date came and went, a lot of those actors in that movie have other commitments, and so you've got to push it further out to get those same actors. So this is really good news for fans of Galaxy and Guardians 3. Right.
Like I mentioned last week, they revamped the comic book drastically and cut out all the characters that are still on James Gunn's side.
Right. So we'll see what happens by then, because that's far enough out, maybe by then Suicide Squad will have come out and maybe it'll actually be good. And then all of his buddies will say, hey, good for you. You came out on top anyway. So now we can go back. We'll see what happens. Talking about going back to your thing about having a good director, and you don't care if it's a good female director, such as Disney's choice, because we talked about it, and especially Lee talked about it several months back when A Wrinkle in Time came out. Ava DuVernay, an excellent director. This was not a good fit.
No.
And, you got to have the right fit. And so far, Marvel has been aces at getting the right fit, obviously. So I'm not too concerned that they'll get the right fit. And I'm not concerned that they'll get, we're going to get this black female director because this is the socially good thing to do. They'll get a black female director if she looks like she'll be able to deliver the movie they want to see. So I'm not in the least concerned of, even if you've never heard of the person who winds up being the director, I'm pretty sure they'll have a really good movie coming out.
Exactly. I wanted to end the show on a note that we don't talk about very often because technically this isn't a movie or a TV show. It's a video game.
Oh, okay, I thought it was a drink.
I'll tie it to a movie.
Tie it to a movie.
Kind of. IO Interactive is coming out with Hitman 2, which is a video game where, guess what? You kill a lot of people.
Yay.
Anyway, there's a character called the Elusive Target, which was introduced in the previous version, where they say you have to kill that guy right there, and then you chase them through stuff. And if you don't get them, they never show up in the game again, which I think is kind of evil if you spent $5,000 on the video game, because they're expensive. Not that much, but anyway.
Feels like
Hitman 2 is going to bring back the elusive target character, and this time the character is going to be called Mark Faba. He's an ex-MI5 agent turned contract killer. Alrighty. And he's being played by Sean Bean. The reason I think that's funny is...
That is funny.
The objective, go kill Sean Bean because everyone else on the planet has. Now it's your turn.
I hope they were thinking of that when they
had to
when they brought him in. Poor Sean Bean. He's an excellent actor. I mean, I really like him, but yeah, he dies a lot.
Oh, geez. One of my favorite all-time favorite memes is the memorial thing that you see of Sean Bean, born in 1957, died in 1982, 3, 4, 5, 7, 96.
Oh, my God.
9. Yeah. Jeez. Saw that, had to throw it in the show. It's death, but it's still something perky to end the show on. Because, I've still got one more show before Halloween.
It's happy death.
It's a happy death. One more show before Halloween of the news shows. But this Friday, we're going to talk about scary movies for Halloween.
Ooh.
See? Spooky films. And the scary thing is Lee won't be here for that either. So come back on Friday. We'll have good stuff to talk about. And come back on Sunday, because I'm sure we'll have something Halloween related then too. Until then, have a good week, be safe, and go watch a movie.
Captain, we're losing power in the warp engines.
I think we should be leaving now.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
And on that unusually harmonious bombshell, it is time to end.
I am very disappointed!
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but, it's a living.
And like that, he's gone.
Darn, that's the end.